Hello and welcome back to another episode of Comics, and Pizza. Today we are reviewing the Earth 2 Annual #1.
All New X-Men, issue 12.
And the upcoming Heroclix Fear Itself event.
Okay, and we're back with another edition of Comics, and Pizza. First up, Earth 2, Annual 1. This was a pretty good introduction of a new character, and also a background of other character named the Atom, the Earth 2 version of the Atom. Instead of being small, he grows big. I know, huge difference.
Yeah, pretty good picture of him.
Yeah.
He's got this little helmet going on. It's pretty nice.
That grows with him for some reason.
Yeah, it's coming onto him as he's changing.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
They didn't mention in the book, the therapist asks them, why does your clothes grow with you? And then they kind of ignore it after that.
Yeah, they don't answer that.
Kind of like a nod to it, but we know what we're doing, but we don't, so just deal with it, kind of. So in this issue, we learn about the origin of this character, and also, first time we see a new Batman in Earth 2. Now, the whole background of Earth 2 is, unlike the New 52 universe in Justice League, they fought Darkseid, but at a price. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Robin, who is also Huntress, and Supergirl all die in the process. And I think about 5 years later, we have new superheroes, or as they say here, wonders, not superheroes. So Earth 2 is a little different. It's a good way of seeing different point of views and alternate realities in the DC universe right now. It's written by a great writer named James Robinson. I can't think off the top of my head what he's written before, but I know he's very well known for different styles of books. But for some reason, we have a new Batman. We don't know if it's the original Batman from the first place. We don't know if it's someone completely different. We have no idea.
We have no inkling of who it might be at this point.
And honestly, all we really see him do is kind of pop up, help out the Atom, kind of like in the shadows like Batman does. Mm-hmm. And then he investigates some stuff like Batman would usually do. He investigates a character named Mr. Icicle, correct?
Yeah, the Mr. Freeze.
The Mr. Freeze of Earth 2. Just for 1 second. That's really all he does. I was hoping for a little bit more of Batman since he's on the cover. But really we saw an interesting backstory of the Atom. How he was in the army, and it was a big blast, and everyone died except him. He grew for some reason. And he works for the World Army. Instead of the U.S. Army, it's the World Army, because they had to protect the world during the war against Darkseid and the apocalypse and everything. So that's basically what we learned in this issue. It wasn't a bad issue, and it was good. It was average, nothing amazing, nothing life-changing. Now the next issue of Earth 2, issue 13, is a much better backstory of a different character, Captain Steel, and a much more suspenseful ending. But in this issue, basically we deal with the main two characters, Batman and the Atom. And at the end we see Hawkgirl, a different Hawkgirl in this universe, kind of investigating more crimes. Or one crime, really, the death of a certain character. And that's all I really see from the issue. So I give this book...
At the end of this one, we also see Fury again.
Yes, we see...
And she captures Big Barda.
Yes, Big Barda and Mr. Miracle, who are not in the regular New 52, are in this book. That's another thing about this Earth 2. A lot of characters we don't see in New 52 are in this book, in this universe. Like Alan Scott. Alan Scott's in this book, Big Barda, Mr. Miracle. I'm trying to remember the name of the original Flash. Jay something, I can't remember his name right now. But he's in this universe. And at the very end, we see Fury, which is the daughter of Wonder Woman, attacking Big Barda. So a nice ending, wanting to read more, obviously, like every good comic book. And I give it about 3 stars. For an annual, I kind of want a little bit more for an annual, but it was
something a little more exciting.
A little more exciting, but it was good. No real complaints. So 3 stars.
Yeah, I'd probably say 3 or 3.5. You do get to see some interesting things in the issue.
It's a build-up. You can tell it's a build-up to things.
This is the first time we see the new Batman, which is exciting for me because I love Batman. And you do get a little taste of the backstory. It's a setup for a fight against Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf, yes, the leader of the Apocalypse group.
So that's a little interesting.
Not Darkseid. We haven't seen if there is a Darkseid in this universe.
Right.
Yeah.
he seems to be, Steppenwolf seems to be the main guy right now that everybody's
who
against.
raised Wonder Woman's daughter.
Raised
and that's why
Fury.
she's Fury, and she's
right.
evil in the first place.
So it's interesting. It's like you said, I'd like to see a little more from an annual, but I liked it. It was good.
And it's $4.99. What do you expect the price of an annual to be? You know, it's definitely not the average size. It's a little thick, which is nice. And yeah, and that's Earth 2. Okay, and we're back. And now we have All New X-Men issue 12. Okay, first problem with this book. On the cover, it is Havoc and old version of Cyclops fighting each other. Okay, I want to read this. Why are they fighting? Let's see what happens to these guys.
An epic battle on the front.
They're holding each other.
Holding hands. And
Nowhere,
having a nice discussion.
Nowhere in this book they even have a remote argument. Not even a disagreement really in this book. Just talking. But in this book, Jean Grey, old version of Jean Grey, young version of Jean Grey, fights Scarlet Witch. Epic fight for like 3 pages. But epic fight. It was, back and forth, whatever. That's on the cover. This epic battle is on the cover. So that was kind of odd to me. That's just the first grievance with it. But the actual story itself, if you haven't been reading All New X-Men, for some reason...
I haven't been reading it.
She's not much into Marvel. But in All New X-Men, Beast has brought back the original 5 X-Men to help him heal himself because he was dying, and also to show the old Cyclops what happened to himself in the future. Maybe he can change. I get the beginning logic of bringing the old Cyclops back to the future. I get bringing yourself back to the future as Beast brought himself to help him heal himself and figure out ways to cure him from dying, which he did. Why bring back Jean? Jean has a terrible future. She becomes Dark Phoenix, kills people, and of course right now she's dead. You don't want to bring a little girl to the future and go, hey, welcome to the future. You're dead. And before you died, you went cray-cray.
Yeah.
Not
You'd
great.
think that would be against the whole screwing with the timeline thing.
It is, but Beast didn't care. Then you have Angel. He brought back all original 5. So he brought Angel. Angel has a terrible future. He went crazy, became part of Apocalypse at the time, became Dark Angel, killed, if you read X-Force, he killed thousands of people in X-Force. Then he lost his memory. So he's a mindless guy who actually thinks he's an angel. Why would you bring a guy to meet himself in the future? Then you have Iceman. Iceman's exactly the same. He should come to the future. He has a fine future. He's a teacher. He's fine. But bringing back Jean and Angel makes no sense. And it doesn't affect your future. Now, what does affect your future is having the original 5 X-Men in the future where they could die any time.
Right.
That makes no sense. And I really wonder, because this is written by Brian Michael Bendis, a guy I'm not extremely a big fan of. He seems a little one-dimensional. He's written good stories, don't get me wrong. He's had a great run on Avengers, and he wrote some really good events like Siege and some strong stuff, but he's still a little one-dimensional. I call him the Michael Bay of comic books because it's not bad, but it's not anything unique. It's like action, girls, a little bit of dialogue, funny jokes, back to action. Not always bad if you're in the mood for it, but it's not always great either. And in this particular story right now, I think he put himself in a corner because now he has the original X-Men back, but he's not really doing anything with them. And when he does, like Angel now joined the evil X-Men. Well, eventually you have to put these kids back in the past. It makes no sense after a certain point because they're going to get older. And of course we know when it gets to the past, Xavier's going to have to erase their brain, so don't remember anything about the future. It just all seems like it's going to make no difference when it's all said and done. And it's also kind of a cop-out to bring back Jean Grey and have a whole conflict with that, an obvious conflict. So I'm reading this series because I've been a long X-Men fan, a long-time X-Men fan. I'm holding on right now. Barely, though. And this issue was just talking. And finding a little bit about Mystique's plan. Her and Sabretooth and Mastermind are planning something right now that not even Mastermind and Sabretooth really know what Mystique's main plan is, but she has something in mind because she's robbing a lot of people. and Captain America saw on the news that like the original 5 X-Men attacked a bank. So he goes to the X-Men and questions them about it. But you obviously know it wasn't them. As Captain America, he should know it wasn't them. Now, I could rant about why Scarlet Witch is on the team and why she's not guilty for her crimes, but Cyclops is. But that's a whole other discussion we'll have for another day. But for now, I give this issue 2 stars. You know, it still builds up to something, but I'm not completely happy with it. And, yeah, and because she did not read the book, she can't really rate it. But she can just hear my grievances and agree with me. Do you agree with me?
Sure.
She says yes.
I take your recommendations.
So 2 stars. If you've been reading X-Men, obviously keep reading it to see if it gets better. But it's getting to a certain point where it's not that. Okay, so now we're up to Heroclix. Now, if you don't know what Heroclix is, it is a board game that have little miniature superhero pieces. If you want to learn the rules and what kind of game it is, go online, look up heroclick.com, or actually heroclickworld.com is a very useful.
HCRealms.com.
HC Realms is very nice. It's a very, very fun board game. Very complicated and a bit pricey, but if you want to have a new hobby, it's fun. It's
if you don't have any hobbies,
yes, we already have anything.
You would like one that takes up a lot of your money and time, I suggest Heroclix.
Yes. It's a very honest thing. It's fun. It's very fun.
It's fun. Very, very complicated, a lot of rules, but it's super fun.
When you get the hang of it, you get the hang of it, and it's fun. Now, if you do know Heroclix, we're going to review the new event happening starting this summer, called Fear Itself. It's based off a great comic book by Matt Fraction, a very good writer. And in this event, every month, we get to buy a booster. And that's exclusive booster to the event, a Fear Itself booster pack, and then a separate pack. Now, I like in this event, because previous events before, we would have to just buy 2 random packs of stuff we already have, and make a team out of it, and then play the game. This one, we're getting exclusive packs that you can't get anywhere else, technically. Stores cannot sell them unless you're in the event.
At least before the event. You won't be able to find them online or anything before you actually go to the store for the tournament.
Yes.
Which is nice.
Now, if you want to learn how to play Heroclix, it's a perfect time to get into the game. You come to a store the day they're playing the event, which is once a month. You have this event for about 6 months. And when you come, they give you a resource dial, which is another aspect to the game. You get to buy a booster, you get to buy another booster, and play the game and learn within there. And it kind of helps you build, understand things and build knowledge into the game. And you get a lot of bang for your buck in this particular event. Before, you have to buy stuff that you might already have, which I didn't like personally. Yeah. Now, you get a nice LE figure if you win the event. You get a brand new booster pack that you couldn't get anywhere else at the time. You get a nice resource dial with a lot of cool powers, and objects for the resource dial. So it's a very fun, different event they're doing. And no real complaints about it. You end up spending about $22, $23 for 2 booster packs altogether.
It's typical for a tournament.
Yeah, typical for a tournament.
Nothing different about that.
Yeah, so if you're used to games like Warhammer, if you're used to games that have pieces,
yeah,
then
you don't have to paint them yourself, which is nice.
Even better.
You don't have to bring big, cumbersome pieces of buildings with you. Just little pieces. And some tokens.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And you can build teams. You can mix, Marvel and DC characters in a team.
You can make a Justice League team if you want, or a Batman team.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
It's a very fun game. So if you never heard of it, if you never, look into it. It's a very fun game, and go to your local comic book store, and maybe they actually play it once a week. So that's our review of Fear Itself event. You should definitely look into it.
It's going to be really good.
It's going to be really fun. Especially if you liked Fear Itself, the actual comic book. This is a perfect time to get in. Because you get the worthy characters, you get actual pieces of the worthy characters. So it'll be very fun. And the Mighty. If you knew who the Mighty is, that's when Odin gave all superheroes different powers and different weapons. That's very fun, So it's a good time to be a Heroclix fan and a good time to jump into Heroclix in this event. That is our show. And if you have any comments, questions, any suggestions,
recommendations for us to read,
we're more happy to listen and hear and read your things. Please be nice on the questions and comments.
Don't be too harsh, at least.
Yeah, if you have your comments, we can take criticism, but don't be jerks about it. And
we're gonna get terrible comments.
Yeah, not just because of that. We're gonna be like, you're in black. You're too dark for the camera. But
we'll work on that.
We'll work on that. I'm putting makeup on next time and everything. Okay. I'm putting my own makeup on, lipstick. Silence of the Lamb style. But, okay. That is Comics, Comics, and Pizza. We'll see you guys later.